I have a crazy thing to tell Glenn.
I can't wait. I'm not gonna lie.
It might not be as crazy as he hopes, but
I think you just built it up.
Yeah.
well, it's just like ironic maybe, and the timing's funny.
Okay, can't wait. You're in charge today. I'm nominating
am
you.
I?
You are.
I had no idea.
I'm making it happen.
Nomination as of now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody, to Baltimore. Not to Baltimore. The Baltimorons.
The Baltimorons.
We got four of us
Jeez
sitting up here
Louise,
today.
Christian.
Want to welcome Glenn back on, and then Jacob as well, partner in crime.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you. But Glenn, what I was saying as we were kind of starting up the podcast, you know how you despise Crocs, and
I knew it was something that had to do with Crocs.
I wore Crocs yesterday.
I had a feeling. So literally, it had been the same week. It might have been 2 or 3 days after we recorded that episode, I think, because we had our client appreciation party at Bordy Vineyards. Mm-hmm. Then we went out afterwards.
This is how this came up. Okay.
And he wore Crocs out to Towson for us going drinking and
That is
whatever,
a true
after our
story.
party.
That is a true story. But I will have you know, my Crocs are reserved for crap. So like I wore them yesterday, right? What was I doing yesterday? I was half naked in the yard painting, right? I had shorts and Crocs. Nothing else. No shirt, no hat, no nothing, right? Because I'm painting. So painting the picture of the client appreciation party, the Christian's just skirting over the whole thing.
Okay, there's no
It was
real.
pouring its fucking ass off. We were soaked. Luckily, we had our team rain jackets on. So from my like pocket down, completely soaked. Like I took my shoes off. I was like, I'm just gonna walk around barefoot. So then when we got home, we turned around and went out to the bar. So I didn't like change. So I just like slipped a pair of Crocs on and went out to the bar in the rain. It's not my I'm proudest moment of going to the bar, but also when I'm going out in Towson at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm not really trying to pick up the ladies either. So
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on wearing Crocs to the bar? Let's skip right to it.
I mean,
Do you approve or disapprove of how Mike Frank
I think I
operated
took a
there?
picture of it.
I took a video of it.
I approve of that situation.
Oh,
I do approve. Of
no. I did not expect that at all. I'm a little torn from that, to be
Torn.
honest. Now I think you're a fan of Crocs. If you come on a podcast for a third time, we're going to have to get your shoe size, and we're going to have a pair of Crocs for you. You got to wear them during the podcast.
I don't know where
It's going to be a hard
I
pass.
thought I had a photo of them.
It's like this
Well, yeah,
is
behind the table you could do it.
Can't catch them in public, right? Make sure
thought I had a photo
the
of this.
camera's really zoomed in so you can't get feet, you know?
Yeah. Also, behind the podcasting table, I don't think anybody's going to find it.
Oh, no. I got to hide the dogs, you know?
Oh, well, there's a picture of you guys in your rain jackets, but I guess
I'll
I
have
don't
to show him the
a
video
photo.
later because I just definitely snuck some and I wanted to put them on Instagram, but I didn't want to do it.
You should have put it on Instagram. I have no shame.
Mike like leans into stuff like that, you know? So it's like, do I really want to wake the beast there? But anyways, Jacob, thanks for hopping on. So you two are kind of like partners in crime. At least that's what it seems from some social media stuff and looking at your backgrounds a little bit, right? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is the whole inside outside LO kind of arrangement.
Okay.
Where you have someone focusing on trying to generate business and relationships and another person who's just really keyed on making sure the files are taken care of.
Okay.
And I think that works really well, actually. It's something that is kind of spotlighted by like mortgage marketing animals.
Yeah.
And I know like my mentor, he also kind of encourages that as well. So I think it's a strategy that works really well.
So you guys, for the people who are listening, you guys are both at the same company, just slightly different roles, but kind of work as a team here. You do loans. You're with
Cazle Mortgage.
Cazle Mortgage. You know who I think used to work there? The person who came to our home buyer brunch that one time, and that's how I know the name.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Bender. Does the last name Bender?
Shauna Bender.
Yeah.
She was here for a little while.
Is she still there? No. Okay. So she had come through like a client that we were working with.
I don't think we ever worked with her.
No. But I had we had like a mutual client for a little bit. This person came by. Are you familiar with the trolley tour?
Of course.
So we had a client go there. She was working with her at one point. She never ended up transacting, and she hasn't sold her house or bought another one since. But Shayna was kind of in the loop on some of the things, and then came by one of our events, and that's really the only like way that I've heard about is Cazle.
Like a castle.
Okay. Cool. And how long have you been there?
Since July 23. So just right around 2 years now.
Okay. How old are you?
33.
And what's your social security? I'm kidding.
That was pretty good, Christian. I'm not gonna lie.
You were close.
That's awesome, man. So you were 33. How long have you been in the mortgage business?
In general, since 2020 in one way, shape, or form or another.
Oh, damn. Okay. And you originally grew up in Pikesville?
I did, yes.
What was that like?
Pikesville was cool. I mean, it's a small, close-knit community. I lived right by a restaurant called Jilly's, and I could walk to the library.
Love Jilly's.
Yeah.
What is that restaurant like?
Restaurant. It's a little bar and grill, kind of like a dive bar.
Okay.
Live music every week. Super local friendly. You know, the owner, Scott, he gives like local high schoolers jobs, just
nice.
super oriented. A few years ago, it actually got struck by lightning.
Oh my God.
And burnt. And
is it still up today?
they rebuilt it with help from the whole. And actually, sorry, lightning is the wrong word. It was kind of set on fire, I think.
I was thinking
like,
the
sorry,
same
that was a
thing.
brain fart.
But the
Was
thing,
it like a
it's
case of
kind
arson? What are we talking about?
It was arson by natural disaster. Okay, Christian, calm
Okay.
down.
Well, when you say set on fire versus hit by lightning and then caught fire, I feel like set on fire can open up so
it
many
sounds
doors.
so much more peaceful to be hit by lightning, though.
I don't know.
Let me tell you,
peaceful.
Chili's used to be a dive bar. It's a bold statement to say that it is today. It's definitely a neighborhood bar, but like it lost that grungy, weird, like, oh, there's an upstairs to this place, or like they had football on a big like 180-inch projector screen. So like you're eating your prime rib dinner and there's like football being projected over your, it was a dive bar, like a real dive.
How many of those screens were there? Was it just the one?
I think there was only one.
That's
or
a
two.
crazy vibe though. Eating you said prime rib and having just a massive football game in the background.
They would have like specials like prime rib on Thursday or like burger night on Monday or whatever. Just like every.
So it sounds like a dive bar, but sports bar, but like you can eat a nice freaking meal.
Yes.
Okay.
And now it's a little bit more like a modern bar.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it.
Speaking of restaurants, I went to a new one recently. I feel like it's like a sleeper bar. Like people don't really talk about it a whole lot. But I went there. No, I mean, I guess maybe if you're really fucked up. But have you ever heard of Knotty Pine?
Naughty. Spell it.
No.
Like a knot?
Knott.
Yeah, YPINE. They have a great smash burger. And it's like a little it is like a little hole in the wall kind of like divey-ish bar. Very interesting vibe. It seems like
What in the world took you to this dive bar?
I just heard they have great burgers. And
You're a
and me
lying
and Donnie,
sack
my sister's boyfriend, before we went to one of the Goose shows, we went there. Oh,
It does. This is like.
Oh, wow.
This is old dive bar.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
for sure.
And like it also kind of reminded me of like bowling alley vibes. Like hometown.
They have skee ball there.
At Knotty Pine?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a bar that I went to over there. When you said bowling vibes, it made me think of it.
Yeah, just like how you get that whole like we all know the bowling alley vibe, smell, the whole nine. Kind of gave me that, but they had a killer burger.
Where is it?
I guess it's considered Highlandtown.
Okay.
It's at that junction between Canton and Brewers Hill.
In Highlandtown, maybe.
Yeah.
Just right over there. So really, really good burger though. Like slept on that for. I mean, I didn't really know about it till Donnie took me, but I feel like a lot of people sleep on it. They don't know much about it.
I feel like that's Jilly's, to be honest with you.
Really?
It's just, what is that, a mile in from the Beltway?
Yeah, roughly.
Give or take. So it's like, it's off the Beltway. No one's putting into their GPS, like, take me to the nearest sports bar when they're driving down the Beltway and ending up there.
Okay.
It's just north of the city, so like the Slade Avenue corridor, which is not really like a sports bar vibe, but there's this one little strip of shops and restaurants where it's always been. I don't know how to describe it.
Does it look real? Like, I mean, you say it's dive, but like I guess modern now, like commercialized.
Not commercialized, more friendly.
Okay.
Maybe
okay.
that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Just a bit. Like I know they have a better stage for live music now. It's not just like some guy standing outside.
Okay. It kind of sounds like a cool ass bar then.
It's pretty cool. I mean, there's a reason it's like a very community-driven local area.
Okay.
And there's nothing else really like it in the area. So
Okay.
it's become popular and they do a good job.
So being down in Pikesville, how long did you live out that way?
Most of my life. I stayed around there until, actually, since I started this job about 2 years ago now.
Okay. And you're out in Perry Hall now?
I am.
How was that?
It's a lot different.
Okay.
There you go,
In what
Christian.
ways?
Well, I really knew the community in Pikesville.
It's a vibe.
Over here, I'm more like work centric. I'm in work mode.
Yeah.
So like I know restaurants, I know work, and I know home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just like what the focus is right now, though.
Yeah.
And there's cool stuff in Berry Hall. Don't get me wrong. But in Pikesville, there's just a lot of things you can just
house. Just FYI.
walk to and see.
It gives me like secrets vibes.
It does have that vibe. This
that's
is
it.
I just pulled up like
That's it.
the Google Maps from 2017. And so this is today.
Yeah, that's today.
Right.
Yep.
Very, very unique. And it's this little corridor where they just have all these shops and restaurants. And then across the street is the old Pikes, which used to be a movie theater, now is a crab house.
Okay.
Very, very cool.
They still have the movie theater there.
Is the movie theater still in there?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember when Suburban House was back here behind the Sherwood.
Oh, you really know your stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up there, right?
Okay.
So, and then Suburban House moved, and it's never been the same ever since.
Yeah.
So, sad day for us.
Oh, yeah.
At any rate, I'm curious, why did you get into mortgage lending?
It's a funny story.
Okay.
It was not an exact path. I was a pizza delivery guy. My car broke down, and I got an opportunity as a telemarketer, and just kind of worked my way up through the ranks. Just kind of saw what the loan officers are doing, and kind of took notes and learned from them, and decided I'd just try and take the test. I passed it, and went to the company. I was like, "Hey, I've been a telemarketer here. I know my stuff. I took my test. I passed it." Like,
Was
I'm
that
gonna
a
get it right.
Cazle?
That was not a Cazle. That was at a broker shop called Caliver Beach Mortgage.
I know them.
Okay.
I know them. Santa. I know him.
Well, how do you know them?
Baltimore, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm not from the area, if you can tell. Like, I know we were talking a little bit about it just for a minute before we started the podcast, but I'm originally from Calvert County. And what brought me up this way is going to school at Towson. And, like, you got to understand what city life was, and ran a restaurant down in Fells Point for a little bit with this guy right here.
I'm super curious. What do you guys think of Southern Maryland?
Have you ever been?
I'm really nowhere near that area ever.
Well,
honestly.
there you
Right,
go.
because it's nowhere land.
That's the running joke here, is that Calvert County
No
doesn't
reason
exist.
to go.
I'm sorry. I just walked right into that one.
Yeah, well, no. I mean,
didn't. He did.
yeah. And then we have another agent, Michaela, on our team. She's also from there, so I have a little bit more support now. It
Yeah,
feels
There you
good.
go.
I have a dumb question. So Calvert County, is Calvert Hall out there? Or is that
Nope.
completely different?
Calvert Hall is in Towson.
Uh,
I don't know the correlation, but
There is another school down in Calvert called Calverton, but not the same thing. Yeah, Calvert County from here is probably an hour and 20 minutes, give or take. And there's really, like, the best way I can describe it, we actually talked about it a couple podcasts ago, is like it's for like young, small families or people who want to have a family. There's really not shit down there, to be quite honest. A lot of like people who are military life commuting to DC or Meade or just those surrounding bases, and then even going into DC. Like, I used to work at Naval Research Lab for a little bit, just right outside of DC. It wasn't anything special.
Oh.
I wasn't doing like some fucking science
I was
shit
about to
and,
say.
developing some cool things. No, I was just fucking in a file cabinet and shit, so. Wasn't my favorite, but it was really neat though. Like, working on a government base was awesome. And then like my mom worked there, and got to go to Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and we'd fire a fucking massive laser. It was like the size
What?
of this building. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit? Laser.
Yeah.
it doesn't have like a security clearance.
No, but we were just like fucking little 8-year-olds sitting there. He's like, all right, now click this button. And you're like a fuck, boom. And like it would like run and shoot and shit. And you were in a giant warehouse. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And if you were in the room when it happened, you'd be dead. Like, it was massive.
Christian.
But we were in there when it wasn't on, and there was like a whole bunch of like little mirrors. Like, imagine, we've all played Call of Duty here, right?
Yes.
Like a little red dot sight, like that big maybe. And it would like push the laser through or amplify it to the next object, and then it would get bigger and bigger and like go to the next one, it would bounce off all this stuff.
You
And then
are
there's-
a psychopath.
Yeah, it was really neat though. And then they had some other cool things, not as cool though. I don't really know where I was going with that. Calvert County. A lot of people commuting to DC for that, and I used to work out there. But really, there's not much stuff out in Calvert. The closest thing is DC, Annapolis, unless you like being on the water and you take a boat out, do those sorts of things. There's just not a whole lot.
I just find it funny that someone else from my region of town is like, I don't know, there's no reason to go there. So that was really the end of my story.
Yeah, mic drop right there.
But I'm curious, you were previously involved in art, or is that
Still am.
Okay, share with me some about that.
Okay, so I'm actually a paper sculpture artist. I brought you 2 very tiny pieces. I'll leave with you later.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
When you say paper sculpture, is that different than origami?
It is origami.
Okay,
This
I'm
is
making
the way-
sure that I'm not being insensitive, right?
Nope.
Interesting. So how did you get into paper sculpture?
That's a very boring story. I was in college at CCBC. I had a speech class, and I was a bit of a slacker. And every single speech, I just took the example of the textbook and wrote a speech on it. And one was about origami. And I was like looking up stuff online about it. And there was actually some really cool stuff. I was like, I've never seen this before. And I just tried to start making more and more and kept going further and further.
So what's like the biggest origami thing that you've ever made, or maybe the most impressive?
Most impressive. So there's an idea of having one color of paper on one side and another color on the other side. And using math, you show both layers through. So like, for instance, you can make a tiger with stripes that are black along the outside and the rest of the tiger's orange. So I'm pretty proud of stuff like that.
Where is that?
I can show you online.
I want to look.
Yeah, check out, just look up lively_folds.
Are you into jam bands by any means?
So you've looked at my page.
No, I haven't.
Okay. I am not super into jam bands, but I have a very, very good friend who he's actually in the works to try and buy the 8x10.
What the fuck?
And he manages.
Sorry, Sushi, I love you.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So these are, but they're all small, right? Like they're
Some
not.
are small, some get pretty big.
How big is big? She.
Damn.
Yeah, no. You have to
Who's
work hard to get
dog? Oh, I can't see the post because I'm not logged in. I'll get it.
I was going to say, throw it up on your phone. But yeah, I've been doing it for a little over 10 years now. That's something that I want to expand more on. Not, again, it's a little off topic, but things like Artscape, I want to try and maybe get into Artscape next year.
Dude, I went there for the first time. Have you ever been?
Yeah, I used to go when I was younger. I haven't
Okay.
been in a while. It's
Okay.
too hot. And I'm like,
Well, supposedly it gets rained out every year, but I went this year and it was like the first time that they had like decent weather.
Look at that.
That's insane, dude.
I'm totally.
How much, if you were to buy that somewhere, like what would you, like the tiger, what would you put to that?
so nowadays, I just let people hit me up for commissions. It's different if you're trying to actively sell it versus just sitting back and saying, I'm getting commission. A lot of my average pieces, $700, $800, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Holy.
What's the time to like produce something like that?
5 to 10 hours for most
That's
of
what
my pieces.
Marissa needs to do. Got it.
And then the tougher pieces easily 20, 30 hours.
Look at this.
Wow.
Look at this.
I feel like,
one.
holy shit. And this is,
I want to see this too. 'Cause I'm
Well, you're in business together.
Oh yeah, that's an angel holding a bow and arrow, right? And you can see the one side had the golden paper and the other side is white, and you have to figure out how to make the gold.
now is
show
there a
through.
specific type of paper that you need to use for like these types of projects?
Sure. So there are some different specialty paper makers in the world, and there's different fibers of plants, and they use those along with like different dyes or different pigments and different kinds of things to make paper. So like for instance, there's actually a very famous paper maker in Massachusetts. The rest are typically in like Japan.
Okay. What are you pulling up here, Mike?
Have you seen this movie? This
Of
is
course
what
I
I think
have.
of
Of course I
as
have.
my capacity.
Oh come on.
That's my capacity to make origami.
No, I still know how to spell beautiful because of that movie. Absolutely.
Recently, I was watching a trivia, which was basically like you got more points the faster that you got. And it literally went through the random house and then the music. So the music cues you in. As soon as she talks, I was like, oh, liar, liar. Like, I knew it instantaneously. I watched that movie so many times. This was an outtake. It wasn't even in the movie, Christian. But that's my association with, like, this level of origami. I could never. I'd be like, this looks like a tiger to me, right? I'd be the artist that puts a
when you had
banana
immediately
on the
brought up
wall.
like the tiger having two different colors or the two different colored papers, right? It immediately made me think of like how complex people can tie-dye now, like how like sophisticated and crazy it can look. Like people can literally like almost like draw with tie-dye some sort of very unique design. Like there's been like Grateful Dead Steelies or Bears, or like my buddy has one where there's a full on kayak and paddle in the middle of this tie dye, and it's not literally someone drawing it, but it's like how they do these like rubber bands, all this interesting stuff.
Yes.
So I thought there was like a somewhat of like a correlation between the two, just because I feel like that stuff would be a hit, whether it be in a dusty lot before a show, or if you're at Artscape, it'd be massive, man.
So it's funny you said that. I've done one live show. I mentioned my friend, he's thinking about buying the 8x10. He manages a band called The Economy. And when they did their first show this year, he had me upstairs live folding. I think I sold like an extra 20 or so tickets because people wanted to see me fold, which is cool.
Holy shit.
And I was literally upstairs live folding while they did it. People come up and talk to me. It was super awesome.
Meanwhile, we're
experience.
like on this podcast,
So,
and I'm
believe
just
it or
watching
not-
you fold this dollar into a lightning bolt or something.
Believe it or not, as much as I am in like live music, I've never been to the 8x10.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just like a super cool local, like,
Fold a dollar into an elephant. No big deal.
That's wild.
It's okay, guys. You can also go lively_folds, where you can also get information on mortgage lending in case you're wondering. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm going to stop looking at this now.
So I want to jump to something because we're kind of on the topic of art and some of the other things that you would wish for if you had a couple of wishes from a genie, and homelessness and poverty, and then have your own art gallery to have folks around the world come and talk to you about your art. And the ability to fly without any sort of drawbacks.
yeah.
When you say fly, you mean like in the air, like
Yeah.
And what drawbacks typically are presented
Whoa,
with
whoa,
that?
whoa.
Are
Yeah,
we
but-
on another like, what is happening right now?
All right. You haven't thought about it enough. The common argument is if you fly too high, you'll get burnt by the sun. Or if you fly too fast, it'll be like a lot of wind resistance, stuff like that.
Okay, so just
Just want to be able to
physics
fly.
and
Yeah.
any sort of real stuff.
You guys
You can just
are
go through
on
the air.
another
Okay.
I
planet.
said one of my wishes. You don't just think about that overnight. It's like,
That is true. That is true.
What would your superpower be? I already know yours, to fly. What would your superpower be? If you could be any superpower, you could have any one. Or Christian, if you know. I know mine. Mine's easy.
I don't really. I'm not really in that whole realm, to be quite
The
honest.
ability to touch a book and then know everything that's in the book.
oh,
Glenn, go home. What in the world? That's not a superpower.
He said go
that's
home.
unique.
I mean, is
I
it
mean,
not
that's
a
true.
superpower?
I also think of that as like audiobooks at this world. If you're anything like me, I watch something on YouTube. I love watching YouTube, but it's on like 2x.
Yep.
Because I can't. This is how you fold. No, I want to see the dollar turned into something. Come on, let's go. Right? So for me, I can absorb information. And then when I hear something that I'm like, wait a second, back up. I can manually back up and reread it, right? Or hear it. But it can't be at the speed at which I can read a book. I enjoy reading a book, but it's a different kind of enjoyment. It's not the same kind of learning, and I get that. What would be yours?
I guess two things that I'm thinking of. Maybe like some sort of invisibility, and the other one would
You're
just
a freak.
okay. The other one would be like perfect eyesight or like even enhanced vision of some sort because my eyes are fucking terrible.
I get that. It's
And
like a classic childhood trauma thing. Like, I wish that I didn't have these glasses.
I didn't have glasses till I was probably in high school or even community college, I would say. Like, it was very late. And, like, ever since, my vision has just tanked so bad. I heard this crazy thing, and I think I heard it from your wife. She has blue eyes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I heard it from her. And she's going to listen, and she'll confirm with me in a couple of days. But people who have blue eyes, their eyes are more sensitive to damage from the sun.
Interesting.
And so I get real, like...
Let me tell you.
I get real paranoid about it. 'Cause
I'm sure that my wife told you that.
One, when you listen to Andrew Huberman, he's like, go out there, get 5, 10, 15 minutes of sunlight every morning to have like your circadian rhythm going and like dopamine shit, all that fun stuff that everyone's now into. Have it at good levels. And then I'm like, okay, great. Now, obviously, you don't stand and stare at the sun, but like you want light to hit your face and your eyes. And I'm like, well, shit. Like, at some point, my vision's going to go, like, do I do this?
Jesus.
And then you're not supposed to wear sunglasses, like, as often as you do, or,
Correct.
like, early in the morning. And I'm like, I got a dilemma here. I don't know what to do. So
You're
if
a
someone
mess.
Can't see. Yeah.
I want you to know that
yeah.
your elementary, middle school, you just beat you up a little bit.
What do you mean?
You rooted for better vision, right? That's something your grandpa roots for. Mine, I always thought about like flying. I thought that'd be cool. But then I realized that Wolverine has this ability to like regenerate. And I get a paper cut. And I'm like, right? And that is my want. Like, I want the ability to just get better. Hurt, fine, get better, and move on. Right?
That's a solid one. I never really thought about that.
I used to want those like flying or like a tail or something really cool.
What is that our fridge again?
I don't know what that is. Maybe it is. Like, what is happening? But yeah, that's my aspiration.
Very mature answer.
There you go. Look at me go.
Lame.
Just to
I hurt my back.
Just to confirm the blue eyes thing. So my girlfriend, who they made me title her girlfriend when we were on the last podcast.
I was going to say. Okay.
I don't know if you saw that. That was funny. Yeah.
So she has blue eyes and she goes through that too.
Really?
Yes.
And it's just like, it's so weird because my eyes are like, even during the middle of the day, I'll take off my glasses or my sunglasses. And even just without those, like my vision with my glasses is really good. And without, I might as well be considered fucking legally blind maybe, right? But then like to keep my eyes open in like some sort of light setting is very difficult. Like I can have just the slightest bit of light or be out in the slightest bit of sunlight. And I'm like, man, this is a struggle for me. Like it's really strange. I don't know.
We came from how to fly to being able to see.
Yeah, any of you doctors, you know,
Oh my
anyone
gosh.
listening?
Where would you fly? Like, what would you use this superpower for?
Oh, dude, everywhere. But there's no.
Well, yeah, you're like, I have a meeting across town. I'm going to fly faster, right? As the crow flies, as Jacob flies, right? But, you know, the ability to fly is, I guess, without consideration because, like, how far can you fly? Do you have just, like, never-ending flying capacity?
Well, that's why I stipulated no drawbacks.
With
right?
no drawbacks.
Right.
So, like, you would just, like, gone on fly to Europe.
Yeah.
That'd be the most boring flight ever.
Well,
it's like on a plane, but now you're literally flapping your wings. Like that's awful.
Okay, so it's more like, you know, maybe supersonic, go real fast.
So it's like the Matrix flying, like Neo.
Is it even flying at that point?
What would
Isn't
it be?
it just like teleportation?
I would assume you could sort of like control your speed. Like there's like the nice, you know, midnight stroll around, or there's like the I got to go to this trip in Europe.
Did you ever watch The Incredibles?
Of course.
Right? Like Jack, slow down, speed up, not slow. That would be you flying. Like too fast, not fast enough. Then people would be like, "How did you get here?" You'd be like, "I walked." It'd be weird. At any rate, I also was curious about your art, origami folding. Would you do any other type of art if you had 10 more years to learn it?
Probably not.
Why not?
There's so much more I can do with origami.
Really?
Yeah, I think that I've got some pretty big goals as far as doing more. There's some pretty famous people who have existed that have the pieces in museums that are, you know, like, again, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so good that I'm going to be in a museum for the rest of my life. But there are people who are going to be known for a long time. And that's really amazing to me. I've seen their pieces and that's something that I can definitely at least pretend to aspire to.
What would it take to be one of those people in the museums?
I kind of joke about that. Like one day I'm just going to like run away to like some remote mountainous village and just fold all day. Right. No, I mean, it's creating, you know, something unique enough that's custom enough that you're like, I'm so proud of this. I want to get this in front of as many people as possible. Yeah. And I think that's really where it starts. And so far, I mean, like, look, I think I'm good. I'm talented. I've competed in competitions. I've had pieces in different countries. That stuff is very unique to me, but I still feel like to get to a level where you're in a museum, like literally like people want to come around the world and see that piece. Yeah. That would be like, you know, if I had 10 years to nothing but fold, I'd like to get there.
And what would make it like that good of a piece to put in a museum?
There's a couple factors. So number one, just like working on your techniques. Imagine it's typically origami is a square piece of paper. Okay. And there is a lot of like math that goes into making things out of that piece of paper. Okay. You saw some of my stuff, like you have to figure out where each thing on the paper is going to go. And you have to create, you know, there's thickness, there's issues with the paper itself. So you start by just practicing those things for a long time. And then once you're there, you are like, okay, I've got where I want to be technique wise. Let me go to a paper maker and like talk with them and work with them to make a really custom, amazing piece of paper that's going to fit this exact thing. And then you do a bunch of test folds and you nail it.
So then do you start with like your idea and then you like jot it down on a piece of paper before you do all the folding and order the paper? And then like you already have the mathematics and the steps to make it look like whatever you want? Or is it like, hey, I get this piece of paper and I just kind of...
It's a mix of both.
Okay.
Because so like the mathematic way of doing it, you get to a very final result that's very boring. It won't look like what you want it to look like. And then you do the fiddling with it to create different ways to make it look like something really amazing.
Man.
Well, let me tell you, when I Googled it, Google AI gave me like 5 names of people that are very, very impressive. And 4 of them were definitely of the Eastern variety.
Yep.
There was one guy that I was like, oh, there's one that sounds like he could be American. Shows up as a YouTube video, the 9 levels of origami. And the one guy was the one, that's that guy.
Dr.
And then you
Glen.
literally look at the differences between level 1 through 9. Where would you say you are today?
I mean, I'm at an 8 or a 9 for sure.
No, you're not.
Holy shit.
What do you mean?
Well, what's holding you back? Oh, I could be in a museum. Let's go. You're at a level 9. I mean, these things are super impressive.
I didn't know there was like levels to it. It's like
Bro,
karate with like belts and shit.
Look
you know?
at level, like this is cicada level 1 and level 2.
Yep.
This is cicada level 3. Let's go to cicada level 4. This is 5. All right, just
it
like
jumps quick. You can see.
yeah. This is 6.
Well, because you start making the legs. You start making the appendages and things.
This
Just
is
think
7.
about trying to get 6 legs and wings on one piece of paper, especially with changing the color of things.
6 and 7.
Now, can you like? There's no glue. That's just paper. You can't do anything else.
Well, hold on. So yes, it's a piece of paper. You don't cut it. You don't glue it. But to make the paper stay in shape, yeah, you do use product to make it stay in shape. So it
Okay.
never
That's
moves.
insane.
Okay. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I didn't.
So you use glue to hold it together?
Well, yeah.
I feel like that's cheating.
Depends. I mean, like
My high school art teacher made us make a paper airplane, and you
Okay.
can't use any glue. So in my head, that's where we start.
fair.
I feel like the only origami I did was probably paper airplanes
Right.
or a paper football, and you'd play it at lunch, and someone would hold a field goal, and you have to get it like hanging
There's
off the
an
table.
11?
Or those little like
Fortune
fortune
tellers?
things that you would
Yeah.
like little
Yes.
fort.
Yep.
Yeah,
Everyone knows those.
Yeah. That was about the only origami I did.
That
That's
counts
really
as
cool,
origami.
though. That's really
There's a
cool.
level 11. Holy crap. This dude is really impressive and super nerdy, in case anybody's wondering, but incredibly impressive. Again, what was your Instagram page?
Lively_folds.
What's your lending mortgage page?
Jacob Rossman x Cazle.
Which one has more followership?
Lively folds.
How much more?
I have like 6,000 followers.
Oh my God.
How come you don't combine both worlds?
I'm not ready yet. I want to do it soon, but like lending and like when I started lending, I was doing like a refi. Like getting
There's a
responses and things. Has been
real
really
life dragon on your story page today.
Wow.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. So what?
Oh yeah. I made that this morning.
So
yeah.
what is preventing you from merging those worlds or combining them and
Just mentorship and guidance, knowing the right way to do it and what to do.
like in a how do I combine both of these social medias mentor guidance
Slap
or
them
do you mean
together.
just like
There's
Yeah.
no glue that makes it work.
Okay, fair. It's like, no, I mean, so most of the people that I do business with, they don't really know about me folding. And the folding is older. I've been doing it for longer. I've got more of a fan base doing that. And I don't know. I don't always like start shoving mortgage down my art followers' throats.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But it would be cool to combine them. Like, I think that the math behind the origami kind of shows a uniqueness.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been playing with the idea.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah.
I think you're right. You couldn't move mortgage into the origami space, but you could move the origami space into the mortgage space.
Yeah.
Also, there's definitely like some weird ASMR pieces that need to go into your page that I just feel like, I don't know. It's a lot that goes on in social media world that would go really, really well.
I'll take that advice. Thank you.
That's not that's a great idea. ASMR has a big hit with some people. But
Yeah, I got nothing. But so how long have you been in mortgage lending?
5 years.
5 years. And what would you say is your strongest strength?
In mortgage lending? Education.
Educating
The clients.
the ones that you work with
Correct.
throughout the process.
Yeah. So it's funny, actually, Glen was with me today. I sort of here's the thing, I winged a lot of my, how I sell mortgage, right? Because it is sales-based platform or job. And I'm really more of an educator, less of a salesman. And I think that by educating the client on really all the finances behind what goes into buying a house, it just sets up such a powerful foundation to give them confidence and ease their nervousness. So it usually takes about an hour. I usually do it right around when I'm finishing up the pre-approval. And, all my agents love it. I'm trying to find a way to scale it potentially. I don't think enough people do education for mortgage. And like I said, it made a world of difference.
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but some of the proverbs of real estate, just sort of these things that people say. And even there's still people that say oh, you need 20% down to buy a house. It's no, you don't. But when people say that, I'm a little bit befuddled. Who is telling you this? Where you did you Google it? Because Google couldn't have said that. But some of these proverbs, don't wait to time the market, time your life. It's that's where people need education. They need to understand the process and not sit on it and say, oh, well, the market's bad. What makes you say that? What are you saying that is telling yourself that the market is bad? Are you looking at data? Are you looking at national data? Are you looking at local data? How does the market impact your investment strategy? And so a lot of what I think we do is not so much that kind of education on the mortgage itself, but more so hey, tell me more about that. What's giving you concern? We were supposed to meet last Tuesday and you skipped on me. I'm glad that we're on the phone today. What caused you to skip that meeting? What are you concerned about? Because I think a lot of these tips and tricks and all these things that you see on social media, they scare people because they're not really helpful. And I think that is our job. Our job is to dive into this, date the rate, marry the house. A stupid fucking conversation. Sorry. Right? Date the rate, maybe marry the price. Because we need to educate people on why that statement doesn't make sense so that it makes sense to them. But the idea of, oh, you can refi, it's almost like a empty promise. You could refi if rates come down, but do you think those mortgage lenders that are saying these things are quantifying that in the way that you are? Probably not.
No. I left my last company because of stuff like that. I think that you need to just be transparent because it's someone's life that, their mortgage payment, you can't miss that. They need a house. And I think that the best way to do it, I actually start a lot of my client conversations before I get into the application is I ask them, what's your monthly payment goal? What is a comfortable, realistically monthly payment on a house for you? And when they tell me that, I can then tell them what their purchase price is. I can then go back and tell them what their out-of-pocket cost is. I can then talk to them if that number scares them, what I can do to fix that number. I think that's starting from a place of the client feeling comfortable rather than just jumping in and doing the pre-approval and saying, hey, you're approved for $500,000. And then they go, well, I don't know anything about that. No, it's more people can buy a house than realize it. I think that's 100% true. I think that, again, it's all about educating them the right way and making sure that they feel comfortable and not pushed into something that they can't commit to. That's really the whole goal.
So sorry, I was going to cut in because I'm a home buyer myself right now. I'm my own agent. It's going terrible. I hate it. Don't ask. Literally my own worst client. But some of the issues that I've run into, single person, my own income would qualify me, which is fine. One, as a single borrower, even with the amount of money that I would look to put down, and we don't need 20% down, I would be looking to do anywhere between 10 and 20% down. But still, single borrower, taking on this mortgage payment, putting that much money down, and trying to live in an area where I can call home and I feel comfortable, and that's different for everybody, right? And that I want to live and that I'm proud of, I guess is a difficult thing to grab onto and come to reality on. And as a buyer, I find that is my biggest challenge. I don't know like how that relates to, I guess, the mortgage side, right? Like you guys chatting with clients about some of their challenges, like here's what we can do to fix some of your budgeting and stuff. But I would say like, I don't know, it is like, hey, we need to get into the market, you need to do something. But like for me, it's been more of like me trying to fit into this role of like, what am I truly comfortable with? And like, what can I really take on? And I think that's been kind of like driving my home search and has been like the biggest challenge. Plus then like as a single borrower and like, here's where I'm comfortable at, and like, here's the communities I would live in. Like it's maybe I'm just terrible for myself and just my situation in general. I'm being hard on myself, but you know, I limit myself to certain communities or areas, and then, you know, a house pops up, then it's super competitive. Not saying other areas aren't, but just some of the challenges that I've been facing, you know, and it's kind of frustrating. It's rough, but like at the end of the day, like
sounds like you need an education session.
I mean, dude, there's so much education out there. And I also think there's something that's like, I don't know what the phrase is, but like educating someone to death, right? Like, I know you've said something similar before.
I have?
Not educating to death, but like, I don't know what the term is that I'm looking for, but over inundating someone with so much information, towards like information overload. And we have to really look at like what matters, right? Like it's the same thing when some of my clients are like, oh, hey, I want to look here. And then they send me a property from an hour and a half away. I'm like, whoa, where did that come from, right? We have to come back to the center of like some people's wants and needs. And I don't know. I guess
you're your own worst client is really what it comes down to.
Pretty much.
I think the proverb that makes sense for you is build your home buying team, and you have to trust the team. You can't just be here getting all mad and angsty.
Well, no one's mad
about
or
the
angsty.
market.
It just, I mean, I've lost out on a couple offers. Like it is what it is. It's not meant to
Happens.
be. It's not meant to be, right? And I treat all of that the same, even when my client loses out on an offer, right? So it's not anything different, you know.
Oh my goodness. You are your own worst enemy, Christian.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, you're closer to it. I mean, I think a lot of buyers right now are feeling the same pain you are, of even at a lot of different price points that I'm surprised at how competitive some of these houses are. And especially for a first-time buyer, it can be pretty demotivating. Like you get your team together, you put together as strong of an offer as you can financially put together, and you go in and you're beaten out. And even if like your team is fantastic and gets you a backup offer, it doesn't feel any better. Right. It is partially trusting your team, unfortunately.
For sure.
And it just sucks because you can't win every one. Like you can't right now. I feel your pain though.
It's a combination of like building your team and understanding reality, and then your like purchasing power, we'll say, right? Because everyone's going to look way different, right? Someone might have all this money to put down, someone might not. And then like, are you taking advantage of any programs? Like truly like building your buyer profile, I think is super important in relation to like building your team and talking about, hey, this is what I want to afford, this is my budget, and being able to work around that. I think it is honestly a combination of all those things, but there are a lot of challenges that I face in the market that I feel like a lot of people can relate to that are buying a house for the first time.
Sure.
You know?
Were there any specific examples? Maybe I can offer some advice. I don't know.
Just probably not specific. Like, so the biggest challenge that I would face, I would buy in the city, I would buy in the county. There are certain neighborhoods and locations that I would look in as a buyer, but like the thing with city is like taxes are a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah.
So then you're trying to battle that monthly payment because now your taxes are $400 more a month in the city versus if you're to buy in the county. But then it's like what I'd be looking for is very specific, and then the areas that I want to buy in are very specific, and then everybody wants to buy in those. So it's like just all odds, I'd say, against, but you have to be able to work within that and make the best of the situation. So it's very complex, and maybe we can even talk about it a little bit more afterwards, not to bore everybody.
Sure.
But, it's certainly build your team, come up with a plan and then try and work within that as best as you can, I would say.
Trust the team.
Yeah. Piggyback off that. So.
For sure. I think there's a lot of challenges in today's market, and the best thing that anyone can do is become educated. I mean, working with someone that you relate to is important. The fact that you obviously attend that, local music scene, as I'm going to call it, whatever Christian calls it, it makes a difference for the buyer that you're working with to understand who you are and who they are, and so on and so forth, why they should trust you. I think that's your biggest issue, is that you don't trust your own self to make the decision. You're like out there on an island by yourself. If you had someone else making that decision with you, it would be much easier for you to just jump.
Yeah, Mike Frank.
Yeah.
I send him a property. He's like, "Oh, nice. You should put an offer." I'm like, "Yeah. What do you think I should offer?" He's like, "I can't tell you that." And like, it's fair because I say that to my clients as well. But
Can't tell you that.
it can be like a guessing game at times, right? How crazy is this gonna get? Even including an appraisal gap coverage, right? So, there are a lot of challenges out there, but I think there are a lot of great success stories and opportunities for people to create.
Watch out, Christian.
Have you ever reached out to the listing agent and asked more about the winning offer?
Kinda, like at least for the ones that I've submitted for sure, but it's always been way more in price, and then probably a much bigger appraisal gap, and then like again being a single borrower, like not wanting to bite off more than I can chew, especially for a first house, it's crazy,
Yeah. And your primary source of income is commission, correct?
Yeah, real estate. Yeah,
It's hard. Yeah.
And like having the year of my life for real estate wise, but still even then I'm like, how is this going to be in 2 years, a year? Like, I'm sure I'll still be fine. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Real estate's not going anywhere. I see myself in this, right? But, at some degree also, like, am I crazy for biting off this amount? Because I was looking at a property on Chestnut here in Hamden that was a chap tax. But even so, like, putting down a decent amount of money, it'd still be like a little over $3,000 a month. I'm like, shit, I don't want to fucking be responsible for that.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of all those things that can make it a little challenging.
You're funny. You're your own worst enemy.
I am, but also his advice, I don't know if you've ever heard this, buy the biggest piece of shit
That is
that you
fact.
can immediately, pretty much. It's like,
That's what I would buy.
I
Biggest
get
piece
it.
of shit that you can afford.
I get it, but at the same rate, gotta
Fix it
live
up
in
yourself or?
It's not really about that. Like, if you buy a piece of shit and you have to put the money into investing into a new air conditioner, or you have to put the money into investing into painting or lighting or whatever, yeah, you're investing the money. The reality is that the market investment over time is way more valuable than waiting. And so basically, like, if you've thought about buying a house, you've probably thought, I should have bought. Whether it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever that might have looked like. And by the way, if you're young and you're listening to this and you're 27, you're like, oh, I shouldn't even buy a house. No, that's the premise. You should have bought a house 10 years ago when you were 18. That's when you can buy a house legally as an adult. 18. Buy the biggest piece of shit that you can have, because by now, 10 years later, you've got 10 years of principal pay down, 10 years of equity appreciation, 10 years of market change. There's so much opportunity in just buying something. And so there are a lot of people that will stammer at the idea of buying a house because of price, consideration, timing, rates, whatever. But the reality is that if you bought something for, let's just use an easy number now, $200,000 5 years ago, what would that be worth today?
I mean, right now, I think forecasted projections in most of Maryland are somewhere in the upper 3% year over year, like 4%. I mean,
and that's just that forecasted projections from now until the future. Correct. That's not even accruing anything for like the COVID market, which was 11, 20, 27, depending on where you were. But if it was 11, right?
I look at it though, like, and this is probably a hot take. I agree with what Mike is saying, and but like buying a house at age of 18 is literally the same as me sitting, like some financial advisor coming into my high school be like, you should open retirement right now, and half the kids.
But
like,
are they wrong?
They're not wrong, but also it's like, is that like? I guess my question would be, how can we get more people to take up on that advice?
That is the issue.
What?
The issue is that people need to be more open to that advice.
But also, is it as realistic or normal of a thing?
It's not about normal.
I'm not, maybe normal is the wrong word, but like, how can you make that more of a reality?
So, I mean, I recently spoke at Stevenson University, and their real estate club invited me to speak in front of the investment club, real estate club, and just some people looking at buying.
Oh, that's cool.
And like, sometimes it's just advice getting them ready to do it sooner than they thought.
Okay.
Like, here's the thing. It's a very, very common reality. If you're in college, you open a credit card, you build up good credit, you save up $2,000 or $3,000, you get out of college, you get a salary job. You now can do MMP, get some seller help. You're essentially buying a house for the majority of the time, $3,000 to $6,000 out of pocket. You have a house, you start building equity, even if it's a cheap house. I've got one guy, literally that exact scenario from Stevenson. We're looking at 2 units. So like yeah, you can put people in the right position. It's starting early enough and understanding how easy it is to make the right decision to get there. Like literally, I think most of the time it's just telling people how to make sure their credit gets in the right place. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, and I think more so it's the frame of mind, right? Like I like to use my situation. I bought my first house at 30. Had I bought it 18, I would have had 12 years of market appreciation and growth. If I had bought something for $100,000 at 18, it would have cost me, I don't know, $5-10 to get in, which would have been really tough. But with grant programs and down payment assistance, I would have been able to do it. In 12 years, I would have paid down, I forget the numbers, but I would have paid down something to the effect of 40% of my mortgage balance, I think was the number. And that would have been $40,000 in equity that I had in that $100,000 property and 12 years of market appreciation.
Yes.
So what would it have been worth? Would it have been worth 140, 170, 180? Let's just say that it would have been worth 180. All of a sudden, when I bought my first house, I literally scraped together every penny that I had, which was $18,000 because that's what I had to have. $18,000 is what it cost me to buy my house. If I had bought something at 18, I would have had over 120 potentially even that I could have had, and I could have been resting on just chilling. Like I could have bought a bigger house, nicer, whatever, but it's all predicated on the idea that I bought earlier. Same thing with the guy that comes in and talks to you about retirement, right? If you invest in your retirement early, it's going to be huge payoff. For the rest of us, we're all stupid and we don't pay attention. We don't listen to that person.
So here's another thing. I sat down with a financial advisor a couple months ago, again, because I'm having the year of my life, I guess, in real estate again, doing very well now. It seems to really be like, hey, now this is like a career thing. Like there's people who are like, oh, I'm in real estate now, right? And it's not necessarily like, hey, they can identify with this career just as of yet, even though it's what they do. And I think now Christian and real estate career are kind of coming together. So I sat down with a financial advisor, and told her about some of my goals of like wanting to buy a house and some of the other things that I like to do in my life. And like she was like, you know what, like, and you might laugh or think it's different or advise differently, but like, hey, you put 20% down so you can be in the comfortable monthly payment. And I was like, well, what about like wanting to get into retirement? Like I haven't really started planning for that yet. I'm 28. I don't want to get too far behind. And now like I'm not going to retire till X, Y, and Z. She's like, I don't worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Not literally word for word, but like, hey, like if your goal is to purchase a home, save that money, get into the range that you want to be in, and then we can really develop a plan to retire by the time that you want, so you're not too late or you're not out of that goal or whatever.
So 20% down. Let's talk about what that gets you. Yeah, you have a slightly lower principal balance. You don't have to pay PMI. That's great. Is that make or breaking you? And do you feel like what are you going to do? Do a cash out refi and throw that in retirement?
No.
I mean, again, I'm definitely an advocate for investing in real estate. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's a responsible way to do it. I still don't necessarily look. It depends on your finances. I'm not like I don't have an eagle eye in on exactly your scenario.
Well, yeah.
But
it's just interesting because it was another perspective that like like you always hear like, oh, start investing in your retirement at 18. Mike's point, buy a house when you're 18, or that's what he could have done. And then I go chat with this person like, hey, here's some of my goals, and like then I don't want to fall back like any further on retirement. I want to try and catch up here, like do what I didn't do over the past couple of years. And she's like, oh, like we'll come up with a plan for that. So like I'm really curious, I guess maybe that next conversation that I have with her, like, hey, what is it going to take to make up for that lost time? Maybe lots
and lots of aggressive saving.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to get something you've never had, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. Third time today.
Wow, that's very stoic of you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say sell more houses.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I can always do that.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
but it's not like I think the biggest key is that buying a house or selling a piece of art, right? It's not getting us to where we want to go. It's not moving the needle, right? Doing it 100 times over consistently and routinely is what's actually moving the needle. And then that is what allows you to invest more, do more. All these people that like come home from work, and I'm thinking of one person in particular, but like come home from work and they go, oh, I'm so tired. I don't have any time for anything else. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you think the single mother does when they have their 3 kids come home from school? Like, do you think that they say they're too tired? Because many of those people are the ones that have 2 jobs and put food on the table and create. And so for you, young person, right? Like, you have nothing but opportunity. And you can either say, oh, I'm tired, or I deserve this time off or whatnot. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to double down and work really hard and create a life for myself that my future self will thank me.
I agree with that. Because I'm not going to spend 40 hours building somebody else's dream and not put in hours to my own dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good summary, right? Like, spend 40 hours working somebody else's dream, whether you're working at, the mall or the movie theater or even at the hospital. That's something that you got an education to build, but that's not something that's building you, right? You have to do something else that's going to build you. And so nights, weekends, holidays, that's what you have to work on. So I digress.
I think that's a very, again, stoic way to end this podcast.
Oh, my goodness. Very
let's get
somber end to our podcast.
We're going to wrap up here. How can they find each of you on social media? How can they reach out to you, find you guys?
Yeah.
I am, you can reach me out, Jacob Rossman x Cazle. That's my Instagram handle.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got my number on there and everything.
Drop the origami one more time for us.
Thank you. Lively score underscore folds. Lively underscore folds.
Hell yeah. And
Love
Glen?
that.
Glen Mortgage.
Glen Mortgage.
Glen Mortgage, the OG. You guys can always find me on our website at frankoliverco.com. Under additional resources, you can read about this blog and so many others. You can always find me on Instagram at michael.frank_____.
And you can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead.
Love it.
Gang. Thank you guys.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.